You are standing in your grandmother's kitchen in 1954. The linoleum is yellow, the window is cracked open, and there, on the shelf above the icebox, sits a brown glass bottle with a plain white label. Hydrogen peroxide. 3%. 11 cents. That single bottle handled 25 jobs in that house. Cleaning, healing, gardening, laundry, dental care, food safety, even the chrome on the Buick out front. One bottle, 11 cents. And the families who knew how to use it properly almost never called a doctor for the small stuff, almost never bought specialty cleaners, and almost never threw out food they could have saved. By the end of this, you will know the exact 1950s method that the United States Department of Agriculture quietly documented in Bulletin 1626, the trick a small-town barber in Ohio taught me when I was 9 years old, and the one used my own father swore by until the day he passed. You can start using every single one of these this week with a bottle you can buy tonight for under $2. I grew up watching my Uncle Raymond run a small dairy outside Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Raymond kept 2 bottles of peroxide in the milk house at all times, one for the stainless steel cans and one for his hands after he finished with the herd. He told me once, leaning on the fence post in the summer of 1972, that peroxide was the only thing his own father trusted because it broke down into water and oxygen and left nothing behind. Nothing to poison the cows, nothing to ruin the milk, nothing to hide. I forgot about that lesson for 40 years. Then I started looking into what those men actually knew, and what I found stopped me cold. The first use was the cutting board. Every 1950s housewife I ever read about kept a spray bottle of 3% peroxide near the sink. After cutting raw chicken or pork, she sprayed the wood, let it sit 60 seconds, then wiped it dry. Cornell University tested this exact method in 1997 and found it killed Salmonella and E. coli more effectively than vinegar or commercial sprays. But here's the part nobody mentions. You have to follow it with a second spray of plain white vinegar. The combination used in sequence, never mixed in the same bottle, outperformed bleach in their lab results. The second use was the toothbrush. My grandmother soaked every toothbrush in the house in a small glass of half peroxide and half water every Sunday night. She did it because the 1948 edition of the Modern Family Health Guide told her to. Dentists today will tell you the bacteria that build up on a toothbrush after 3 days of use can reinfect your gums. She knew that without a single research paper. The third use was the laundry. White cotton shirts in 1955 stayed white, not because of bleach, but because women added 1 cup of peroxide to the wash with hot water. Bleach was harsh, expensive, and ate the fibers. Peroxide lifted blood, grass, sweat, and underarm yellowing without weakening the cloth. The Sears catalog from 1952 actually recommended it for nurse uniforms. But here is where the story turns. Because somewhere between 1965 and 1980, something changed, and the change was not accidental. The fourth use was the produce wash. Before refrigeration was reliable in every farmhouse, women filled the sink with cold water and a quarter cup of 3% peroxide and soaked their lettuce, strawberries, and green beans for 10 minutes. The produce lasted 3 to 4 times longer in the icebox. The USDA quietly confirmed this in studies through the 1960s. Then specialty produce washes hit the market in 1991 at $5 a bottle, and the 11-cent solution disappeared from the advice columns. The fifth use was the ear. My father, a Korean War veteran from Toledo, Ohio, put 3 drops of peroxide in each ear every 2 weeks his entire adult life. He never had an ear infection. He never had impacted wax. He was 84 when he passed, and he could still hear a whisper from across the room. The 1953 Merck manual listed this exact protocol. The current edition still does, but no one talks about it. The sixth was the sore throat gargle. Equal parts peroxide and warm water, gargled for 30 seconds, twice a day. The 1949 Boy Scout Handbook for Fathers and Sons included this on page 211. The seventh was the foot soak. Working men who stood on concrete all day soaked their feet in a basin of warm water and half a cup of peroxide on Sunday evenings. It killed the fungus, softened the calluses, and eliminated the odor that ruined leather boots. The eighth was the glass cleaner. Streak-free windows in 1956 cost almost nothing. Peroxide in a spray bottle, wiped with newspaper. The ammonia products that replaced it cost 20 times more and leave residue. The ninth was the cut on the hand. Every workshop in America had a brown bottle on the shelf. You poured it directly on the wound. It foamed, it cleaned, it worked. The American Red Cross First Aid Manual from 1957 listed it as the primary field disinfectant. Now here is where I have to tell you something, because if I do not, this whole video is just a list. Somewhere in the early 1980s, the major consumer goods companies figured out that a product that costs 11 cents and handles 25 jobs is the enemy of their entire business model. You cannot sell a $40 cleaning system to a woman who has a brown bottle that does the same thing, so the advice quietly shifted. Magazines stopped printing the old recipes. Doctors stopped recommending the ear protocol. The produce wash vanished from extension office pamphlets. Nobody banned it outright, they just stopped mentioning it. And one generation later, nobody remembered. This is the part that is for you. Right now, this week. You do not need to do all 25. Pick 3. Buy 1 bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide at any drugstore for under $2. Put it in a dark spray bottle because light breaks it down. Use it on your cutting board after raw meat. Soak your toothbrush in it every Sunday. And if you have a son or a grandson, teach him the cut-on-the-hand protocol this weekend in the garage. Pour it on a small scrape. Let him watch it foam. Tell him his great-grandfather used the same bottle. That is how the knowledge survives. Not in a video, in a hand passed to a hand. The 10th use was houseplants. 1 teaspoon per quart of water, once a month, prevents root rot. The 11th was the humidifier tank. 2 tablespoons stopped the pink slime. The 12th was the dishwasher. 2 ounces in the rinse cycle eliminated the film on glassware. The 13th was the refrigerator wipe down. The 14th was the chrome on a car bumper. The 15th was the grout between bathroom tiles. The 16th was nail fungus. The 17th was canker sores, swished and spit. The 18th was the dog's water bowl, a single drop. The 19th was sprouting seeds faster in the spring garden. The 20th was cleaning a wooden hairbrush. The 21st was removing wine stains from a tablecloth. The 22nd was disinfecting a child's lunchbox. The 23rd was the kitchen sponge, soaked overnight. The 24th was the inside of a thermos that had gone sour. And the 25th, the one I saved for last, the one I found in a 1958 Home Economics Extension Bulletin from Iowa State University, Bulletin 1626, written by a woman named Helen Conway. A teaspoon of 3% peroxide in 8 ounces of water, taken as a mouth rinse first thing in the morning, before coffee, before food. Swished for 60 seconds. Spit out, never swallowed. Helen documented that the families who did this had measurably fewer dental visits, fewer gum problems, and fewer respiratory infections in the winter months. She tracked 412 farm households over 6 years. The data was real. The bulletin was pulled from circulation in 1971. I have a photocopy of page 7 on my desk right now. That is the lost code. That is what those men and women knew. A brown bottle, 11 cents, 25 jobs, and a quiet competence that the modern world traded for a cabinet full of plastic. You are not behind the times. You are ahead of them. Because you just recovered something that was taken from people like you, and you can hand it to the next man in your family this weekend. Tell me in the comments below which one of these 25 did your father or grandfather actually use. Name it. Be specific. I read every reply. And subscribe, because this channel is for the men quietly putting back what the modern world threw away. Next week, we are opening a 1,947 carpenter's notebook from a man who built houses in Vermont that are still standing, and the 3 joints he used that no one teaches anymore.